Hello, hello. Teresa Phelps Martin coming to you with the energetic signature for October 29th until November 5th. I think it goes to the 5th. It's so hard. I really should make this easier on myself, but from a Saturday to a Friday, which most people don't operate, so it goes until the 4th. Little detail, right? So just know it is the energetic signature that is going to capture the first quarter moon, and we're in this eclipse energy, and it's going to capture the moon transiting through so it'll start in Sag, right? It's the fire moon right now as I'm recording this on Friday. And the 29th actually moves into, it'll be Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries. So the reason why I'm starting this way, and hopefully I'll get into a rhythm of starting that, look at your chart. If you watch your chart, if you know your chart, if you've seen it before, this eclipse energy is part of a bigger storyline. It's part of 2022's storyline. We'll have another eclipse cycle next spring when we have the sun in Taurus and the moon transiting through Scorpio again. And then it'll shift, and then it'll shift into this energy of hitting the Aries Libra axis points. So right now it's about the shared energies. It's Scorpio season anyway. Shared energy, shared resources, shared time, and a big change around that. A shift and letting go of our old ideas of how we engaged with each other, how we connected with our intimacy, our vulnerability, our sacred center, and bring that forward, exposing our inner selves, which is a little dramatic. But I have a lot of Scorpio flavor and flair to my chart. Scorpio rules the 8th house. I have a ton of energy in my 8th house of my own chart. So what you would want to do is look at where Scorpio and Taurus is in your chart. You just pull that natal chart. And this is just an offering to help you go a little bit deeper with what it is. And you can look at what planets are in Scorpio, what planets are in Taurus, what's being activated, what's being awoken, and how can you use this in a way that supports you. So we had the eclipse on October 25th, and then we'll have the total eclipse on November 8th. That chart is really significant because it is just forcing, the heavens are mandating a new direction for us. And eclipses are big. Eclipses are the lights get turned out, and when you open your eyes back up, there's a difference. So what you could explore is what transformation is coming forward? What has been going on for the past year and a half? What has been really rattling you to your core? And how is that rattle awakening the place of honoring wounds, showing up for healing, that inner child work, that trusting in the depth of your being, and that in that darkness you're not alone, that there's actually a sacred spark helping, calling forward this ability to guide you. And then the Taurus is, that energy is saying we have to embody this. We have, like, I'm saying have to because that's what eclipses do. They just are part of our evolution as individuals, as humanity, as earthlings, because the moon revolves around us and then we revolve around the sun, and the relationship between the sun and the moon create the eclipses. So it's this energetic dance of the heavenly bodies that guide us and direct us. So looking at your own chart, looking at your own energetic signature will help you understand what's really being awoken, right? My Scorpio rules my 2nd house. So I know that there's a lot of self-worth, of self-capacity. I am doing so much around that ability to really embrace my gifts, my talents, and bring them forward. And that shows up in so many different ways for so many of us. So just a little tad bit. So then what you would do is then look at, okay, we've moved through the first quarter. The first quarter moon will be when the moon is in Aquarius, because the sun and the moon will create a 90-degree angle in the sky. And when it's a 90-degree angle, then there's challenges. And this is when we align. This is where we find ourselves awakening to what really is coming coming forward. So the eclipse energy, pay attention to the storyline that's unfolding right now. And if it is intense, because what hasn't been intense in the past year? If it is intense, give yourself that room to rest, to restore, to hire a therapist, to get somebody who can help you with your chart. Call a friend, drink a lot of water, take in herbs, herbal teas that nourish you. Look at this time as not so much pushing you down, but as a chance to really say, hey, what's best practice right now? What's the best choice I can make for myself at this moment? I'm gonna breathe into it, I'm gonna connect with it, I'm gonna engage with it, I'm gonna align with it, and then I'm gonna allow it. And in that allowance, we can feel more fluidity and connection and enjoyment with what's coming forward. So if you really know your chart, if you don't know your chart, no big deal. All of this is practical, concrete awareness of, whoa, shit got real. Excuse the language if you're a young child watching this, but things are intense. So what can I look at the wisdom that I've learned, right? That's the moon moving through Capricorn. How can I apply this to the big picture? How can, in the big picture, that's Aquarius, in my future self, in my hopes and dreams, kind of the bigger journey of all of this, then how can I come in and remember that my soul is here to evolve? This is the idea of the energetic signature, is to help you be true to yourself, to embrace yourself and be real with it. So that means not denying, not blaming, not projecting, not hiding from or running away from. So in that, what we can see then is when we get to that moon gets into Pisces, there's a big flavor. There's this tidal wave of new energy because we are in the momentum of moving towards that really intense eclipse that's happening on November 8th. So it's reminding us to take soul care. That Pisces energy is the deep waters. It's where humanity is all connected. Remember, we all have beating hearts. We all have a vibrancy, a life that has come forward in a way that as far as we know, doesn't exist anywhere else. So in that, nourish it, polish it, care for it, embrace it. So then when I'm getting into the following week, but when the moon moves into Aries, then you can have that spark of insight that encourages you, and you're gonna feel big with it. And just know when the moon moves through Pisces, it's gonna ask us to really revisit these new dreams we cultivated, this new awareness, this shift that we created, these bigger expressions and intentions that we set or woke up to in early April. And as you feel that tidal wave of energy embracing you, know that you're being carried forward and will be given that strength to persevere. So when the eclipse, when the moon moves into Taurus, and we feel these groundbreaking shifts that are happening, that we can know that it's actually beautiful to stay clear in our priorities, clear in our values, clear in the knowingness that we're all interconnected and we all have a gift to crystallize, to bring forward and share those talents in a way that is of service to the greater good. I know I'm passionate, but here we are in this energetic signature of this fluidity, this adaptability, this healing, this calling forward of compassion, of kindness, of grace, and applying that to yourself so you give permission to those around you to embrace it, to welcome it, and to enjoy it. So that is the dance of the moon. Because we're in this watery energy, right? We've gone through this very airspace, and if you watch the daily posts in the Soulfully You group on Facebook, I'm not really on Instagram anymore. I can't find that vibe. Or maybe you're just watching these on YouTube. Maybe I need to figure out how to do posts in YouTube, but I think I need a bunch of followers to do that. YouTube is not my strength, but I post here, so there's a collection of resources for you. But if you pay attention to the daily posts in the Soulfully You Facebook group, you'll see at the bottom that there's the symbol, the swirl for earth, the water for water energy, the fire for fire energy, and the earth for earth energy. And as you look at that bottom, you're gonna notice these little shifts that are happening. We've been in a lot of air, and now we're gonna feel a lot of water. And as that water energy, it's all Scorpio, all that energy, the sun and Venus and Mercury is gonna move into Scorpio. All these energies answer to Mars. Mars is in Gemini and goes retrograde this week. So Mars, we're feeling that slowing down of our drive, that slowing down of the direction we're going. Or maybe you're feeling like, oh my gosh, there is so much clarity for me. Now what we're gonna do until January is review some of those choices. Really reflect what our passions are, what we take action in, what are we aligning with. Like for me, Mars is really the alignment and Venus is the allowance and the sun is the connection and the moon is the engaged or the embodied, right? So these are our personal planets that are working with us. The sun, Mercury, and Venus will all be in Scorpio. Scorpio traditionally is ruled by Mars. I know this is a lot. So then you ping pong all the way over to the Gemini part of your chart where Mars is, and Mars is going retrograde on the 30th at 9:26 a.m. So the storylines, the narratives, how we're being mindful, how we're intuiting, how we're going inward and connecting and pausing, how are we changing our mental thought patterns? So Mars and Mercury are interchangeable because Mercury rules Gemini and Mercury is in Scorpio. Now, if you want to be more modern, you can also say that all this energy answers to Pluto. So if we add that flavor in, Pluto is still in Capricorn. It's moving forward. It's shifting. But the United States of America is going through its Pluto return. So we're all, as a country, being asked to review and reflect the structures that we've created and realize they're no longer working. And how do we rebuild? How do we renew? How do we recreate? So you can come back to that personally. How are you renewing? How are you rebuilding? How are you honoring that transformation brings forward a strength, a resilience that you could only know by getting incredibly vulnerable? And that is the Scorpio energy. And in that Scorpio energy, you can bring this connection to realizing, move from the depths, move from the connection deep within, bring that flavor alive, bring it to the surface. And as you bring it to the surface, trust that it's being cared for, right? Have boundaries, okay? Have boundaries. Those boundaries are going to get broken and that crystalline energy is going to get scattered but it's a cosmic guidance because Uranus is involved. All right. So that's the biggest energy, this movement in towards the eclipse. This Jupiter has moved into Pisces. I don't think I tapped into that. So there's this sort of flare, the drought, the widespread drought. We're going to get rain finally, right? Thank goodness. And as we get that rain, that we're saturated, that we're perched, right? My yard is perched. It finally rained here in Louisville, Kentucky, and all the plants' roots got watered and saturated so they could come alive again, so they could perk up, so they could go feel strong as they go into this dormant phase and rest and renew. So feel the water, the rains. And now if some of you are watching this and you've had hurricanes and you've had bigger waters, there's the confusion that some people are in great drought and some people are abundant. So noticing that there's this big shift into this watery flavor and feeling that place to really polish, to get into the roots, to care for them. So Jupiter going back into Pisces is really asking us, it'll move direct in December, I believe. I could be wrong. It could be the end of November. But it's going back into Pisces and it's saying, hey, wait a second. What were those dreams? What was I imagining? How was I connecting to my soul? So you might find yourself being pulled into a denser, heavier, but it's asking us to be fluid and adaptable, to be in that wave-like motion and cleanse our soul to come back alive. So because Jupiter moved back into Pisces, okay, the other big energy this week is Mars going retrograde. It's going to be going on for January. Mars does not like to be slowed down. So realize this. Humanity is in this place of, wait a second, I thought we were moving forward with this change. I thought, that you can think of the heavens saying, actually, I thought we all came into agreement, right? Jupiter and Saturn walked into Aquarius together back in December of 2020. And then earlier this year, Mars and Venus walked into Aquarius together. So these are Mars and Venus are the yin and yang of the personal planets. Jupiter and Saturn are the yin and the yang, the contraction and the expansion, the dreams and the timekeeper. They walked into the energy of Aquarius not to be aloof, right? That's like one action of Aquarian. Aquarians have the ability to see the big picture and not be so tangled up in the emotions in the mind, right? So usually Aquarians need help connecting to the emotions. Jupiter is in Pisces now. Saturn is still in Aquarius, so we're still reviewing, we're still working. And now we have Mars in Gemini, an air sign, and Venus in Scorpio, a water sign. And Mars is being asked to go backwards. Jupiter is still going backwards. Jupiter's happy in Pisces. Mars going backwards in Gemini, not really fun. So there's like a multiplicity of Gemini. It sees both sides. Really look at your choices. What are you choosing? Where are you choosing from? This is the narrative of Mars in retrograde in Gemini until January. And then Mars will stay in Gemini again and repeat. So there's like this flavor of the multiplicity of Gemini. How we take action, Mars being in retrograde. So Gemini energy means you usually have to do things twice. Mars is taking action, choices, the energy, the drive, the desire to step out, right? Usually gets labeled with war because you kind of have to fight, right? When you tell somebody or an authority who has more authority over their department of what their knowledge base, you don't have to go be at war and fight them, but it takes an inner drive to show up. This is important to understand. So it's asking you to go back. Is that a good choice? Is that for the long term, the drive of it all? Are you really allowing this energy? What are you engaging with? What are you connecting to? What are you aligning to? So Gemini do things twice. Retrograde hits 3 points. So there's this pattern of 6, right? And as we have this pattern of 6, just look at the dance. Look at the contrast in your life. And in that dance, it's asking you to really hit those moments of how you're choosing mindfully, soulfully, authentically, grounded in that respect for yourself, for one another. So Jupiter moved back into Pisces. Mars is going retrograde. Jupiter and Mercury have a conversation. So remember, Mercury will be in Scorpio on dun, 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 dun. I have too many books. I don't even have them marked down. Must be at the end. Oh, yeah. On the 29th, Mercury enters Scorpio. On the 30th, Mars goes retrograde. And so what we have is Mercury makes an aspect with Jupiter right before it goes in to right before it goes into Scorpio. So Mercury's carrying a message. Sorry for that. I just had to organize things and think this through. So the first aspect that Jupiter makes when Jupiter is in Pisces is with Mercury. Mercury is going to carry this message forward to the sun and then forward to Venus. Venus is moving really fast though. And they're going to communicate it back to Mars. So realize there's a lot of energy asking you to look into the depths, the expansive layers of yourself. How are you communicating with yourself? What is that narrative around the areas that need healing? And how are you reviewing the engagement that you're doing so far to move forward? This is to me, this stood out as really loud before we're going into this eclipse, this full moon, this total lunar eclipse with the North Node. So that means this is evolutionary. This is taking us forward. It's pushing us out of our comfort zone. So how do we handle change? Or as my supervisor in grad school say, how do you prepare for chaos when you're not in chaos? So use this time to listen, to tune in, pull back, care for yourself. Mars will go retrograde on the 30th. And then we have like a slow engagement. So feel this momentum. Use this time to look where the moon is traveling in your own chart. What messages are the moon carrying? Because it's a reflection. It's a reflection. through Capricorn, through Aquarius, through Pisces, into Aries this week. And you can go ahead and look at that quadrant from Capricorn to Taurus to really help you prepare for whatever challenges are coming. Align yourself, care for yourself. It really matters. And then Venus will oppose Uranus on the 5th. I know I'm ahead of myself, but realize this opposition is part of the bigger storyline. And in that opposition, the sun will end up opposing Uranus as well on the 9th. And Mercury will too. So there's this story. How are we relating with one another with the great changes? So I came at you fast. I came at you strong. I want to leave you with something to contemplate, and a shout out to Allison, who commented on it, and a shout out to Perry, who's always looking at using the yoga classes on the Soulfully You group, and to anyone else who's really appreciates these contemplations. I'm gonna leave you with something. And I would love to hear from you. So meditating is really important right now. Feeling the connection to your breath, noticing if you're exhaling all the way. Your movement, I would say, I would keep it fluid. I would keep it lots of side body, but really stabilizing the pelvis as you open through the hips, if that makes sense. Lots of core, lots of connection. How are you stirring the inner creative energy, the Shakti, the way your beauty and brilliance comes together to come forward? Give it that container. I think of my friend Tracy, who is he's a marketing guru. He's in New York City. I met him in New Zealand, and he and I got to meet one night in Brooklyn. And he was like, what you do is you want to create the box and then to hold the magic. And that's what we're doing. It is what we're doing. Everybody has magic. So offering you this. If you breathe and you think of this horizon, right? North, south, east, west, above, below, before, and behind, right? And you envision this circle of light around you, or circle of energy. It's different than your aura, but it's holding that bigger energy for you. And as you breathe, you can feel the vertical line of the breath, maybe. Just sit. Can you feel a vertical line? Can you feel the breath, the diaphragm moving up and down? All right, diaphragm moves up and down. The roof of the mouth moves up and down. The pelvic floor moves up and down. When you inhale out, feeling that masculine energy, that rise, to connect to that higher self, to that which there is none higher, to source, to spirit, to the universe, to the heavens, whatever it is. And that as you exhale, you're engaging in that depths of yourself. You're letting that exhale out to release, obviously, but it's helping you settle back down, okay? So as you inhale, you're feeling this vertical line of energy rising up, and as you exhale, you feel this energy settling down. Then, if that, you can stay there. Connection, engagement. Aiming high, embodiment. Coming into your being. Allowing for the exhale to feel a deeper release, a deeper settling. And then allowing for this inhale on the horizon, right? Your lungs, your rib cage, your lungs expand out to either side, forward and backward, okay? So this is that horizontal line. That as you breathe, you can feel the in front of you, the behind you, and to either side of you. And if that's too much, just think of that inner horizon, the horizontal line, the line in which we know and can manifest. And on that right side is that energy of alignment, right? How are you going to take action? And on that left side, there's that contemplation of how are you going to allow, right? And in that allowance and in that alignment and in that engagement and in that connection, you can feel that grandiosity of energy, and then you can draw it and seal it and hold it in the sacred zone of your own heart. And then ground that energy into the earth. And then offer it up and out into the world. So I'm going to leave you with that. Just do with it what you want. I'd love to hear your contemplations. It's something I've been marinating in for a long time. but came through to me very crystal clear my own meditation today. And so it was just the call, as it came to me, it also came with please share. Inhaling the connection, exhaling the engagement. Inhale, feeling the alignment, exhaling the allowance, right? So it's just that movement, and then feeling the intersection in your own heart with it grounded into the earth, and then expanding back out beyond you. May this serve you in a way that is supportive, encouraging, that allows you to be present, giving you a tool to engage with life, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that you're supported, knowing that as we move through these times, that remember the sun and Venus are still together. That feminine energy, she's able to walk into the depths. She's able to care for, she's able to bring the beauty inward so that that beauty can be shared with one another. And that light is with you so that you can see it and be it and bring it and share it. Until next week, I thank you. I appreciate you. The likes, the comments, the shares all keep me going. And I will be back to talk about that eclipse that's coming and how we can really navigate the challenges of our life with the wisdom that we contain within.